How's it going? How
Yes.
are you doing?
This is my first ever live on
Oh
Instagram. So
my God. Well, let's just make it as seamless as we can. First and foremost, thank you so much for taking the time today. This is awesome. I appreciate you taking the time.
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited. So we're going to be digging into The Reckoning and The Lair, a couple of your most recent work in film. The Reckoning being, I think, honestly, my first introduction to seeing. I know I'd seen you in like previous roles and different things, but The Reckoning coming out was absolutely rad. Was this your first experience as far as co-writing or writing on a project?
Yes, actually it was. The Reckoning was my first project that I co-created, co-wrote and produced, and yeah, created that role.
Awesome. That's good. So as far as now, it's my understanding that it was based maybe even slightly on a short story or a story called Red Hex. Was there anything as far as
Uh,
was there
no,
anything with that or no?
that project came to us as a very loose, an idea about a girl.
Okay.
And then we kind of took the idea of the topic and kind of made it into our own and completely changed it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first film that I co-wrote, and then yeah, my fourth one now. So
Sure. Okay.
yeah.
Now, within that role, so you mentioned, it being the opportunity of, kind of molding it in your own manner. What were some things that you really wanted to include in that? What were some things maybe even initially that were in the script that maybe you wanted to strip away or take away?
Well, we actually wrote the script from scratch. Me
Okay.
and Neil Marshall, the director, we wrote it from scratch, and it was really interesting because I kind of, it's the first time I'd done any writing at all in terms of screenplay, and I kind of came about it as an actor, like, okay, my need, the characters, the overall story, my character's arc, and then obviously Neil, being a very experienced writer director, came at it as a writer director. So it was very interesting to see, how we kind of together worked, and yeah, and it's phenomenal, really, how now we're literally about to do our fourth one together. So
It's awesome.
cool.
Was this the start around when you were getting into production and your production company? Was it right around this, or was it prior to this film?
It was actually after the film where we completed the film and realized, oh, actually, we're kind of good at the production side of things. I get how all this works. And obviously it's a learning process, and you're always learning, right? What you say, you never know anything in this industry. You've got to keep going, and you never will, and that's the beauty of it, right? So yeah, it was after The Reckoning, actually The Lair, that we said, you know what, we should open a production company together and put all our films through that. So
I love that, just as far as that approach. Myself being involved as well as like the do-it-yourself DIY kind of music scene.
yeah.
There's a beauty in that as far as looking at something and saying, you know what, I think we have the tools and resources. We can just do this ourselves. We don't need to reach out to other people. So that's awesome. I love that.
Absolutely. I think it's just surrounding yourself with people that are very good at what they do in all departments, the cast, the crew, all the creative side. And being in the States, I moved to the States when I was pretty young, and just did acting for many years. And along the way, I kind of understood and really wanted to learn how the process of producing would work, because really out of necessity, like, okay, I want to do good roles, and I want to put my destiny in my own hands and not just wait for the phone to ring, right? I want to
I love
be proactive and do my own stuff. And then I realized, actually, it's amazing, because as an actor, or I guess anything you do creatively, if you can do it yourself
that.
and not have to wait for other jobs to come in, that's the dream, isn't it, really? Because then
Sure.
you can create whatever you want to create, like a painter, right? Like an artist, you can do whatever you want, story wise, role wise, and not have anyone to answer to.
It's awesome. I mean, I absolutely love that. I can appreciate, those who kind of go and they're like, that's not my thing. But then there's just, that much more of kind of like a badassness to being, like, I'm going to take out the middleman from the situation and figure this out
Yeah,
myself and do what it is that I want to do. So
yeah.
I love that. That's
But
awesome.
obviously, working with other filmmakers and acting in other people's films as well. Totally, love
Mhm.
doing that, and open to that, of course. But I have a bunch of roles that I want to play, and characters that I want to play. In fact, a film that I just finished shooting, that kind of was my dream role. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's coming out this year. So
Okay.
yeah, that's called Duchess, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm very excited. I've been hearing about that. Is there anything tentative? Obviously, I don't want you to put out anything that's not out there or supposed to be,
uh,
but release-wise?
no, but we should know. We should know this month. So
Oof. Oh
yeah,
man, that's awesome.
yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah, super excited about that one. And it's
Awesome.
actually the film that the third film that me and Neil obviously co-produced and wrote together, that is not a horror as well, which I think is really interesting. It's a genre, it's
Awesome.
gangster, it's a female action gangster movie, British gangster movie, but it's not horror. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And I've heard with interviews with him as well, saying that, ideally in his mind, he would love to be known as an action first and
Yeah,
foremost, or being known for his action. So hearing that and then hearing about this new project is really exciting.
well, that's
And
what
I can't wait to see.
he's so good at action.
Mhm. Mhm.
He's Game of Thrones and Centurion and Doomsday. I think that's
Sure.
what
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
goes out
So
there.
as far as the reckoning, so digging into Grace and your character and your involvement in the role, bring us back to the first days as far as for filming for the movie. What was coming, and what was your kind of introduction into getting into the world of Grace?
The first day of filming, I actually can't remember what was the first scene we actually shot. I remember that we were shooting in Budapest and it was ridiculously hot, and I had a hat on. Oh yes, no, I do remember. The first day I was on my runaway horse, and the first shot was where I'm on my beautiful black beauty of a horse, and I'm trotting along, and then the horse literally ran all like yeah. Bad. It was really bad.
Oh
That was
no.
like the first shot, and the first days, always you don't want to be jumping into a big emotional scene, and we didn't. But it was a tough scene because when you're dealing with animals, yeah, that's just difficult. Especially my horse running, but I didn't fall off, and it was okay.
Oh,
So,
thank
yeah,
God.
that was the first. That was a tough day actually. Yeah, and then yeah, I ended up actually with a migraine at the end of that day because I had
Oh no.
huge loads of hair extensions on. Then I had this huge hat that was really tight to my head. But we got through it. That was that. Yeah.
And then the riding as well. Was that your first experience as far as riding a horse or having involvement with that, like something on film like that?
Riding a horse. Yeah. So for that film, I learned to horse ride. I learned to sword fight. And
Wow.
really kind of first action. It's not a full-on action film or role, but there's quite a bit of action in it. So that was
Sure.
kind of my first action role.
Awesome. I love that. That's great. Now, as far as earlier prep, and you mentioning, as far as writing the story, how far along did it come as far as deciding that you were going to have a witch telling story or witch hunt of sorts, but not actually have witches in it? I thought that was really interesting. Was that pretty early on where it was like,
Well,
we're going to cut that out?
I leave it ambiguous, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, if
okay. Okay.
if it is there or isn't there. No, I think we're in the process of researching, and Neil was really kind of finding it difficult, his way into the story. So I just can't connect with it. I don't know which way to take it. And we're doing all this research of these women that were, it's terrible, what happened to all these women.
Mm,
And, in real life, was there witches, and really was it just powerful men taking advantage of people?
sure.
And I like her, or she did this, or she's a widow, or she looks different, oh, she's a witch. And I said to him, just, what if there's no witches? And he's like, the light bulb went off. He was like, oh, actually, no, you're onto something. I was like, I am. Yeah, your no witches is brilliant. I was like, okay. And then he took it and ran with it. I said, well, let's leave it open. And in a way it is. In a way it is. There was one scene that we actually took out because it was too obvious that she certainly isn't a witch. That isn't in her head. Where she's looking at the devil and
Oh,
she's
really?
in the tree, yeah. So but yeah, I mean,
Huh. Oh wow. Okay. And that was I appreciate that you bring up, it being ambiguous because there were certain moments where after listening to interviews and hearing yourself and Neil kind of talking the part in the film overall, I kind of wondered, there was
Yeah,
definitely walking away from it. I was like, oh, I guess I didn't quite get that there were certain moments in the movie where I was like, but that's the fun of it. I appreciate, having it where you're leaving it almost open ended and, you create your own ending to it in a sense. I love that.
yeah.
Okay. Now, as far as the physicality to the movie, there was the moment that I've always kind of looked at and wondered how people pull off, obviously editing and good acting, but the moment where you're going through the whipping scene, what goes into preparation and what goes into uh, filming that, and not actually getting hit with a whip.
Well, I did get hit, and it was
Oh,
absolutely really freaking painful. I think it was
oh
like
no.
the first take where, yeah, it was so painful, and yeah, they were real tears. It was, but yeah, that didn't last too long. Let me see how did I get into that. I mean, the thing is, that role every day was like that. Every day I was emotionally, I had to be at a 10.
Oof,
I think there
man.
was scene, she was, I mean, from, I'd say 95% of the film, she was just in just despair, physically and mentally. And that it was, I would say, emotionally, it was definitely the hardest challenging role emotionally.
Oh
If
man.
if you're just off that, or you're not quite in it, then it's just not going to work, or you're not going to be believable or truthful. So
Wow. That's tough. I mean, was there, so after that moment of you getting hit, was it like, okay, we kind of have to readjust here, kind of on the fly, change a couple of things, or was it just a mistake that happens in film?
yeah, it was a mistake, and then I just bit my lip, my tongue, and said, "Carry on."
Oh man. Well, good for
Yeah,
you. Wow.
yeah, that was a tough scene as well, emotionally.
Yeah. And that is always one of those things too, just as far as being a viewer and sitting through and seeing something like that. It's always really tough. The moments of, you have the man that's breaking in and going to try and take advantage. Any of those things, I mean, it's always jarring, and it's always even something as far as for a man and having a daughter myself, seeing those things. And being in the role, I mean, you absolutely sold it. There was a lot of tough moments to try and sit through in that movie, and it worked. It did what it was supposed to do, as far as some of the end and some of the action that came,
Mhm.
and some of the vengeance. For anybody who hasn't seen it, it's on Shudder and it's great. So
Yeah,
absolutely check it out.
watch. It's a hard movie. It's hard for me to watch, to be
Hmm.
honest.
Yeah. Okay. As far as, do you remember the last day of filming, what you wrapped on?
Yeah,
What went into that day?
the last, um, the last shot, the last day, and the last shot of the movie was the last shot of the film of her coming out the lake. That
Oh, really?
was the last shot of the movie, and literally the last take is what we used.
Oh,
Yeah, it's pretty
oh,
cool.
dang!
And
Wow. No kidding.
it was a very easy day. Obviously, it was a hectic shoot. It was a lot to cram in, and then the last day was actually pretty chilled. Well, in terms of our usual schedule, anyway. And it was like that scene and one other scene. It was actually that scene and the opening scene of the play pit, and
Hmm.
yeah, and that was. It was interesting. Well, there was a lifeguard there. He said, you're wearing a very heavy dress, and you could drown potentially. I'm like, okay, well, I've made it this far. I'll make sure. And I was really scared. And I was like, oh, it's freezing. I don't know if I want to do this. And anyway, I eventually went
Wow.
in, and it was actually really lovely. I thought, okay, I could do a few more takes. Do you want some more? Hang out. We finished. Get out the
No.
water. Yeah, so that was really
Probably.
the last shot.
Okay. Probably not too often that you're involved in a shot, and you're like, well, I think I could hang out here. This is okay.
Not,
That's maybe a little more comfortable.
yeah, not during that film.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of things were pretty uncomfortable. It was, yeah, that, and what else was it? I think it was the fighting as well. Because that was kind of, like I said, my first action role,
Hmm.
and the finale sequence at the end where I'm fighting with Ursula. There was quite a lot of action there, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do the sword fighting, and I did, and I really loved it, and horse riding as well. I was like, oh, I've never ridden a horse before, but I did obviously prep that and practice that, and I really enjoyed it. Apart from the day when my horse ran away.
Okay. Okay, all right. And I know you mentioning, the deleted scene earlier. Was there anything? I know we're going to be digging into the layer, and you had mentioned that was very much just what you see is what was filmed and what you get. Was there anything else that was, that maybe had different takes that you had to do, or that that didn't end up making it into the film, or was the reckoning pretty much
No,
right then and there?
much it. In fact, it might be on, when you get like the Blu-ray DVDs, the extras,
Mm-hmm.
on there. And it was literally when she went outside the cottage, and she found the ring from Joseph. She looked, the devil was looking down at her. The problem is she didn't respond, so that means the devil was literal and it wasn't in her head. So I said, oh damn! If I just looked up, then we could have used that tape, and it was a great shot of the devil's horn.
Oh dang!
But we couldn't use it because that just shows it was literal, and we didn't want that. We wanted to leave it open. That it's all in her head. Yeah. So
Wow.
gotta find that scene somewhere else. But no, that was literally the only scene.
Oh, that's great. Okay, awesome. And touching on the layer, so we just recently get the release of this, or I should say, now over in UK, did it recently release, like within the last couple of weeks?
It's releasing on the 26th here on Shudder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's actually a big gala premiere screening on the 25th actually that we're doing in Leicester Square. Yeah, so if you're in the UK, you could come along.
Oh man, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously it was at Fright Fest in the UK in the summer, and it was released in the States. Oh, it's just
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So
And,
yeah, the end of the month it will be released here. But I know
man, okay.
other territories. I know it did very well in India. I think it was like the third or fourth on the charts there, so that's pretty cool. And I know it's doing really well in Russia as well. So yeah, random places around the world.
Sure. and so much fun too. Touching on the movie and just my first impression, getting it over here. I'm actually still waiting on my copies. I have The Reckoning and The Lair ordered and intended on having them for today, and they're not here. So we'll post here soon on them, just as far as extras or whatnot. But
Yes.
As far as the Lair and the fun of it, absolutely over the top, ridiculous, and just a good time in all of the best ways. Anybody that that could ask for it. What were the first like couple of days as far as getting involved for this role? I know you've mentioned your first time shooting, different things as far as for this movie. What different challenges came in the first couple of days for you for this movie?
The challenges. Well, definitely the action. Definitely, this was the most physically challenging role yet. Kind of getting into the mindset. That's more prep, but getting into the mindset and researching and understanding and appreciating being a British fighter pilot. And I was lucky enough to speak to one actually, which was really helpful. The first few days of filming, I would say the physical side.
Okay.
That was.
Was there anything as far as physical, like research wise too, that you did with you mentioning with the fighter pilot that you got to speak with and interact with? Did they have anything as far as training or physicality with movements or anything like that?
No, she didn't really go into detail about that. It was more about I just wanted to know about her really personally. What tours did she do? How do you when you get into a situation, how do you stay in control? It was more mentally, than physically. I mean, she gave me a few pointers, but nothing really that I rolled.
Okay.
More mentally, really, in her mindset.
Okay.
Yeah.
with firing a gun, sometimes can be very fun, sometimes can be very stressful. How was this at location that you started training with
It,
that?
it was great when the gun would fire, because a lot of the
Oh
time
no.
it jammed, which was, yeah, and obviously dangerous. Yeah, AK-47s. It was. I mean, there were some scenarios where I had to shoot through just past a window, and they said, yeah, make sure you're through the window, because if you hit through the glass, then it will come back at you, and that's dangerous. And you know, it could.
Oh no.
I'm like, okay, let's just do it. Let's just do it. I mean, yeah, lots of gunfiring, lots of action. Yeah, but I got used to it after a while. I got used to it, and I did actually enjoy it. I did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, I felt a lot more comfortable when I was firing outside, that's for sure. When I was firing inside, obviously it's slightly more dangerous.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. And that and very much a obvious stressful situation that everybody has to be on point. Everybody has to be aware of this this the situation, not running in front of each other. Yeah. So I appreciate that. I like that. It's one of those things where guns I feel like is a very scary or fun scenario. So just kind of hearing the personal out
Yeah,
of it.
overall I enjoyed it. Yeah, the only thing I can't quite mastered yet is not blinking when I fire.
Oh. Okay.
I just can't help it. I know Mel Gibson does it, so if he can do it, then if he can't do it, I
Yeah.
can't. Like
Okay.
I always blink. It's a natural thing. It's really annoying. I'm like, just yeah. So I'm
A
gonna
lot
try.
of times they say to take a deep breath right before, and then you almost kind of slowly depress the trigger, and it helps out with other things to where you're not concentrating on blinking or moving your hand or anything.
Yeah,
I'm not a professional, but that's
yeah,
something I've heard.
yeah. In fact, the film I finished, I fire a gun there, and
Mhm.
the director said, just scream, just go for it. That helped. I was like, bang, bang. That take because it was right. But I did. I thought surely there must be a better way. I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. It helped in the moment, though. I love that. What about the so is it getting on set and your first experience seeing the monster? Was this prior to the first scene that you saw that you're shooting with? How did this come about? Actually seeing the physical monster for the first
So
time?
I saw designs of the monster beforehand, but no, I never saw the monster until I was on set.
Oh
Luckily,
man.
I wasn't. Luckily enough, yeah, I wasn't shooting. I wasn't in the scene with the monster, so I
Oh
saw.
okay.
I just finished for the day, and it was the monster coming out from the lair. So it was just kind of a monster on his own.
Mm.
And yeah, it was at night. It was all drooly, and we're shooting in this really scary quarry, and yeah, it was the first time I saw it. It was. I was very impressed. Luckily enough, I wasn't in the scene with it at that point.
Okay. Okay. Now, the one scene that I wanted to touch on, and it's kind of just coming to me for whatever reason, but the scene where it's panned over top and there's the fighting and the firing going on outside when the monsters are coming in, trying to overtake. What went into just the blocking and the movement for that? Absolutely, so solid. That was such an awesome scene.
Um, Personally, I don't actually know the how. I think that was just a drone shot. I wasn't in that shot. I was in a tent at the time.
Oh, okay.
But no, that's actually one of my favourite shots from the film. And the other shot from the previous shot where you see all the monsters, yeah, all the Ravagers coming towards you. That's actually my favourite shot of the film.
Awesome.
But I think we just used a drone, and I'm not sure how they choreographed that, to be honest.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, it was one of those things that just popped in my mind, and I didn't even send that over prior, so I apologize, but I thought it was absolutely awesome.
It was super,
Very cool.
super, super cool. Yeah, I love that. That's
What
awesome.
about so you have the shooting and you have the guns, but you also have fights, you have explosions. How was the experience dealing, with those situations and any minor mishaps that you had to brush your shoulder off for?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I did have a stunt double.
Oh, okay.
um,
That
but
helps.
yeah, I'm not very good at throwing myself. I say maybe I'm not very agile. I'm not agile enough.
Okay.
For example, a shot where the explosion goes off and I literally fall back in the tent. That was not me.
Oh.
My great stunt double did that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say I didn't have any. Don't think I had any accidents in terms of the action stuff.
Okay, and that's that's a beauty of film too, as far as a viewer had not noticed. So props to them and the hard work that they bring in for sure.
Oh yeah, oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
We did have a great stunt team. Absolutely, really, really, really good, really solid. Didn't have too much time to practice, I'd say.
Okay.
It's like a dance. Action scenes, it's like a dance. It's all choreographed, and you've got to practice it and practice it. And we'd finish one day and we'd say, right, let's prep for the next morning, which is an action scene, and we'd have an hour or so to remember all these beats. It was just pretty hard. But overall, it was a fun shoot because I had such a I had a great cast around me. Everyone was such fun. Everyone was just up for it, and it was a great solid team ensemble.
Okay. Now the dissection scene was another scene that was just as gross as it was fun to sit through. As far as being on set, was this a one take? What went into the shooting of this scene?
I think we had for the explosion at the end of that scene, we had two takes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Obviously, I don't know if you can guess what the inspiration was from that. What film?
I would probably say The Thing.
Yes.
Sick. Love it.
Film overall.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. It's interesting. It was choreographed up to a point, and then I would say what makes it so fun, organic, and just real is that everyone just ran in the direction that bit wasn't choreographed. To be honest, everyone was just running. Neil just said, "I want to come to you," which it did, and then obviously Jonathan to come and try and stop it, and but that was it. And then literally everyone was running around, and it was absolute mayhem. The natural comedic timing of the line, that was some fucked up shit. I just love that. That's my favourite scenes, I think, from the whole film. Foreign DNA, what do you mean, like French? It's brilliant, isn't it?
Right.
That's the thing with like with my character. I loved her, but she was very straight. She was, and I think all the other ensemble, the cast just had brilliant lines. I was like, oh, I love that line, but my character was that.
I think it's best with that balance though, because there's certain times, especially with comedic and with horror, Neil's work as far as Dog Soldiers, there's that balance where having it being over too much, or maybe where it's overpowering and you're just kind of like, okay, now I just feel like I'm laughing at absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Having those characters, the balance.
The characters is the worst. It's fine to the situation, but when you're undermining the characters, that's not good. That's not good.
Absolutely.
And I think
absolutely
got to walk, but I'd say overall, and the Welsh character, I love him. He's great. I love them all. I love the fact.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the Americans and the Brits.
Yeah, it was a great ensemble for sure, and certainly one of those things, and something that I'm excited for Duchess as well. Is there a little bit of an ensemble type thing to that, or is there anything you can touch on as far as that?
Yeah, so we got a great cast: Philip Winchester, Cole Meany, Sean Pertwee.
Oh man.
Just amazing. Stephanie Beecham. Just amazing actors. So
that's great. Many. That's right. That's awesome.
A very, very British Southeast London girl falls in love with an American, and it's kind of mixing the cultures there a little bit, and then it goes down. But there's lots of you've got Spanish actors, you've got French actors, you've got English actors, you've got a whole mixture in there. Um, and we shot that in Tenerife as well. We were originally going to shoot it in
Oh, really?
Cape Town. That was,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah, that was the original because it's about diamonds. It's about
Oh,
diamonds. So
man.
yeah, the inspiration for that movie was. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, aren't I? A little bit.
That's all right. I don't want to put anything. I don't want you having to feel like you have to put anything out there that's not supposed to be. But
No,
I love hearing about it. It's awesome.
no, I'm just yeah. So yeah, for Duchess, we were sitting there one day and we were talking about the great '80s, just the classics, gangster movies, the Goodfellas, Scarface, Casino, and I said, do you know what? Like, it wouldn't it be great to just make an amazing, epic gangster movie? But then what about if there's a woman in it? Um, and that's kind of where Duchess was born. That's where it was conceived, the
Oh,
whole.
man.
And yeah, I said we wrote three movies back to back: The Reckoning, The Lair, and Duchess. And then Duchess was the one we've just finished. It's going to be out this.
Oh.
That's the one you got in the summer last year in Tenerife. And
Okay.
yeah, so lucky with the cast. I mean, actually, that was the toughest shoot, hands down. I got COVID. Neil got COVID. Oh, it was
Oh, this was on this film then? This filming? Oh, shit. Jeez.
it was real tough. But we got through it. We're very happy about it. We're very excited. And that was actually physically kind of because she was a boxer as well. So I had to learn how to box and
Oh, wow. So lots
but again,
of opportunity for learning as well in these roles. You're like, hey, maybe I'd want to pick up boxing, and why not learn for some professionals for a role too?
I know. So but boxing, you got to get it right. You got to look good and move right, or it just looks ropey as hell.
Totally, totally. Well, I love that, and I'm so excited to see Duchess. I'm excited to see just the work that you have and that you've been continuing on as far as just bringing a badass light to females working in film and having these roles. I appreciate it, and I thank you very much for the time today. This is absolutely awesome.
Of course, yeah. No, thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll have this for anybody who's just tuning in. I'll have it edited on my YouTube channel in the next month or so, and have it promoted on here too. So once again, thank you very much for the time today.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye very much.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi, a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.